My name is Ethan Carter. I am 33 years old. I live in a small town called Millbrook in the state of Oregon, USA. Millbrook is quiet. One grocery store, one high school, one gas station, and too many memories. I never planned to come back here, but life doesn't always ask what we plan. 3 weeks ago, I lost my job in Seattle. The tech company I worked for suddenly closed. One meeting, 10 minutes. Position eliminated. That was it. I packed my apartment in 2 days. My savings were low, rent was high. So I drove back to Millbrook, back to my childhood home, a white wooden house on Willow Street. The house was empty for 2 years after my father passed away. I had not entered it since the funeral, until now. The first night felt strange. The house smelled like dust and old wood. The walls were quiet, too quiet. I slept in my old bedroom. The same blue walls, the same small window, the same creaking floor. At 2:17 a.m., I woke up. I don't know why, but I heard something. A soft knock. 3 slow taps. Knock, knock, knock. I sat up. My heart was beating fast. The sound came again, from downstairs. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. I walked slowly down the stairs. The house felt colder than before. I reached the living room. Nothing. No one. The front door was locked. Windows closed. Maybe it was just the old wood. I told myself I was imagining things. I went back to bed, but I didn't sleep. The next morning, I tried to clean the house. I opened old boxes. I found photo albums, pictures of my parents smiling, pictures of me as a child, happy, carefree. Then I found something strange, a small brown envelope. It had my name on it, Ethan, but I had never seen it before. It was hidden inside an old book, my father's handwriting. My hands started shaking. Why didn't he give this to me before? I opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a letter and a key. The letter said, "If you are reading this, it means you came back home. There is something you need to see. Not everything in this house is what it seems. Go to the basement, use the key. Trust your instincts." No explanation, no details, just that. My father was not a dramatic man. He was simple, honest. Why would he write something like this? The basement. I hadn't gone there in years. As a child, I was afraid of it. It was dark, cold, full of old tools and boxes. I stood at the basement door for 5 minutes, thinking. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just some old storage. But something inside me said, go. The stairs to the basement creaked loudly. Each step felt heavier. The air smelled damp. At the bottom, I turned on the small light. Dust floated in the air. Old furniture covered in white sheets, metal shelves, cardboard boxes. Everything looked normal. Then I saw it. In the far corner, behind a large wooden shelf, a small metal door in the wall. I had never seen it before. It was painted the same color as the wall, hidden. My father never mentioned this. My heart started beating faster. I walked closer. There was a lock on the small metal door. I held the key from the envelope. My hands felt cold. For a second, I almost turned back, but I didn't. I inserted the key. Click. The lock opened. I pulled the small metal door. Inside was a narrow space, like a hidden room. There was a table, a chair, and a stack of notebooks. That's all. No treasure, no money, just notebooks. I stepped inside, closed the door behind me. The air felt still. I opened the first notebook. On the first page it said, "Millbrook is not what it looks like." My stomach tightened. What did that mean? I turned the page. Names, dates, descriptions. My father had been writing about people in town, secret meetings, late-night activities, strange deliveries near the old lake house. This didn't make sense. My father was a mechanic. Why would he investigate people? Then I saw a name that made my blood run cold. Mayor Daniel Harper, the most respected man in town. The man who spoke at my father's funeral. The man everyone trusted. Why was his name in this notebook? Suddenly, I heard something upstairs. A door closing. Slow footsteps. My body froze. I was alone in the house. Or I thought I was. The footsteps moved across the living room, then stopped. Silence. I turned off the basement light immediately. Darkness. My breathing became loud in my ears. Then, 3 slow knocks on the basement door. Knock, knock, knock. The same sound from last night. Someone was inside my house, and they knew I was here. I held my phone tightly. Should I call 911? The footsteps moved again, slow, careful, like the person was listening, waiting. Then I heard a voice, soft, almost whispering, "Ethan, I know you're home." My heart nearly stopped. It was a man's voice, calm, controlled. "How do you know my name?" I whispered to myself. The voice came again. "You found it, didn't you?" Found what? The notebooks? How could someone know? My mind was racing. I stayed silent. After a long minute, the footsteps moved towards the front door. The door opened, then closed. Silence. I stayed in the basement for 10 more minutes, not moving, not breathing normally. Finally, I turned the light back on. My hands were shaking badly. This was no accident. Someone knew about the hidden room. Someone knew about the letter. And someone didn't want me to read those notebooks. I grabbed 3 notebooks and put them in my backpack. Then I locked the metal door again. Went upstairs carefully. The front door was closed, but it was unlocked. I was sure I had locked it. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table, reading. Page after page. My father had been watching something for years. Secret land deals, disappearing funds, private meetings near the old lake house, and one final sentence in the last notebook. If anything happens to me, it was not an accident. My father died in a car crash 2 years ago. They said it was bad weather. They said he lost control. But now, I wasn't so sure. Outside, a car slowly passed my house. Its headlights moved across the windows, then stopped. The engine stayed on, watching, waiting. I realized something in that moment. Coming back to Millbrook was not a mistake. It was the beginning. And whatever my father discovered was still alive and dangerous, and I had just stepped into it. I did not sleep that night. The car outside my house stayed for almost 20 minutes. The engine was running, the headlights were off, but I could feel it. Someone was watching. At 3:12 a.m., the car finally drove away, slowly, like a warning. Morning came with gray clouds. Millbrook looked peaceful again. Too peaceful. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. The notebooks were open in front of me. My father had written carefully. Dates, times, locations. One place appeared again and again. The lake house, Old Harper Lake, north side of town, abandoned for years. At least, that's what people believed. I checked my phone. No new messages, no missed calls. But something strange. I noticed my Wi-Fi was disconnected. The router lights were off. I went to check. The cable behind it had been cut. Clean. Not broken, cut. Someone had entered my house last night, not to hurt me, but to send a message. I grabbed my jacket and car keys. If someone was trying to scare me, it was working. But fear can either freeze you or move you, and I was done being frozen. The drive to Harper Lake took 15 minutes. The road became narrow, trees on both sides, no houses nearby, no traffic, just silence. When I reached the lake, I parked far from the water. The lake looked calm, still, like a mirror. And on the north side, I saw it. The lake house. Old wood, broken windows, paint peeling off. It looked abandoned, but something felt wrong. There were tire tracks in the mud, fresh ones. I walked closer. Each step felt heavier. The front door was slightly open. I pushed it gently. It creaked loudly. Inside, dust covered most of the furniture. But in the center of the room, there was a clean table with a single chair and a lamp. New. Someone had been here recently, very recently. Suddenly, I heard a car engine outside. I froze. Footsteps on gravel. Voices. 2 men. I moved quickly behind a broken wall inside the house. My heart was pounding. The men entered. I could see them through a crack. One was tall, wearing a black jacket. The other, shorter, nervous. "Did he find it?" the short man asked. "Not yet," the tall one replied. "But he's asking questions." My stomach tightened. They were talking about me. The mayor said we must handle this carefully. No more accidents. Accidents. The word echoed in my mind. No more accidents. Like my father? The short man looked uneasy. "What if the boy goes to the police?" The tall man laughed quietly. "About what? A hidden room? Old notebooks?" He paused. "He has no proof." Proof. They were right. I had suspicion, but no proof. Then the short man said something that changed everything. "What about the storage locker?" The tall man turned sharply. "Lower your voice. There's money there, documents, everything." Storage locker. Where? My father never mentioned that in the notebooks, unless it was in the ones I left behind. My phone vibrated suddenly. I nearly dropped it. The sound was loud in the silent room. The men stopped talking. "Did you hear that?" the short man whispered. Footsteps moved toward my hiding spot. Slow, careful. I held my breath. My phone kept vibrating. Unknown number. The footsteps came closer. I could see the tall man's boots, just a few feet away. Then, from outside, a loud car horn. The men turned quickly. "What now?" the tall man muttered. They rushed outside. I heard another car engine, door slamming. Then, silence. I waited 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then I ran, out the back door, through the trees, to my car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely start the engine, but I drove. Fast. Halfway back to town, I finally checked my phone. 1 missed call, unknown number, and 1 text message. "You shouldn't have gone to the lake." My blood ran cold. They were watching me, or following me. When I reached home, something was different. The front door was slightly open. Again, I was sure I locked it. I stepped inside slowly. "Hello?" No answer. The house felt wrong, disturbed. I walked to the living room. The floor was covered in papers, the notebooks, all of them, even the ones I left behind. They had found the metal door, and they had searched everything. In the center of the mess, 1 notebook lay open, a single sentence circled in red ink. Locker 27, Millbrook Storage. Locker 27. So it was real. And now they knew that I knew. Suddenly, a voice behind me. "You move faster than your father." I turned around sharply. Standing in my kitchen doorway was Mayor Daniel Harper, calm, well-dressed, smiling, like always. "I was hoping we could talk," he said softly. My heart was racing. "About what?" I asked. He stepped closer. "About curiosity," he replied. "Curiosity can be dangerous in small towns." I said nothing. He looked around at the mess. "You see, Ethan, your father misunderstood certain things. Business deals, private agreements. Nothing illegal, just complicated." I stared at him. Then why did he write that his death was not an accident? For the first time, the mayor's smile faded slightly. "You're grieving," he said calmly. "Grief makes people imagine things." He stepped even closer. "Let me give you some advice. Leave Millbrook. Today. Go back to Seattle. Start fresh.
He adjusted his jacket. "And stop reading old stories." We stood face to face. The air felt heavy. Then he turned, walked to the door. Before leaving, he paused without looking back. "One more thing," he said. "Some lockers are better left closed." The door shut behind him. I stood alone in the house, shaking, angry, afraid. But something inside me changed. This was no longer about curiosity. This was about truth, about my father, and about justice. I looked at the circled words again. Locker 27, Millbrook Storage. If there was proof anywhere, it was there. But I knew something now. I wasn't just investigating them. They were investigating me, watching, waiting. And if I made one wrong move, I might become the next accident. That night, I packed a small bag. Flashlight, gloves, notebook, car keys. At 11:47 p.m., I stepped out of my house. The street was empty, quiet, too quiet. Millbrook Storage was only 5 minutes away, and whatever was inside Locker 27 would change everything. Or end it.
After my speech at the community center in Austin, something changed inside me. Not my grammar, not my vocabulary, my identity. For the first time, I stopped saying, "I am bad at English." I started saying, "I'm improving my English." Small change, big difference. But the voice in my dreams, it did not disappear. It became clearer, more calm, more supportive. One night, I decided to test something. Before sleeping, instead of playing conversation audio, I recorded my own voice. I said, "Daniel, you are confident. You pronounce clearly. You speak naturally. You are improving every day." Then I played that recording softly while sleeping. Not loud, just gentle background sound. And I slept. That night, I had the strongest dream yet. I was standing in front of a mirror, but it was not normal. The mirror version of me was speaking, fluent English, confident, smiling. He looked at me and said, "Why are you still afraid?" I replied, "Because I make mistakes." He laughed softly. Mistakes mean growth. Then he said something important. "I am not your teacher. You are." I woke up immediately. My heart was beating fast, but not from fear, from realization. The voice, the teacher, the corrections, they were not coming from outside. They were coming from my own brain, my own practice, my own repetition. Our brain is like a recording machine. Whatever we repeat, it strengthens. If we repeat fear, fear grows. If we repeat confidence, confidence grows. For years, I repeated negative sentences. My English is bad. I can't speak. I'm shy. And my brain believed them. Now I was repeating new sentences, positive ones, and my brain created a new version of me, even in dreams. The next day, I met my American friend Jake. We were sitting in a coffee shop. I told him about my sleep experiment, about the dreams, about the voice. He smiled. "That's called mental rehearsal," he said. "Athletes use it." He explained something simple. Basketball players imagine shooting the ball perfectly. Public speakers imagine giving a perfect speech. The brain practices without physical movement. So when real life comes, it feels familiar. Maybe that's what was happening to me. I was rehearsing English in my sleep. From that day, I improved my system again. Before bed, I imagined real situations, ordering food, job interviews, phone calls, making friends. I closed my eyes and visualized success. Then I slept with soft English audio, slow, clear, positive. Weeks passed. My confidence grew stronger. One day, my manager at work asked, "Can you handle a difficult customer call?" Before, I would avoid it. That day, I said, "Yes." The customer was upset, speaking fast, complaining loudly. But I stayed calm. I understood him. I responded clearly. After the call, my manager said, "Great job." That moment felt powerful, not because my English was perfect, but because I was not afraid. Later that night, I lay in bed quietly.
No audio, no recording, just silence. I close my eyes and I ask myself, are you still afraid? Silence. Then softly inside my mind, I heard, no. There was no mysterious teacher anymore, no classroom dream, no invisible corrector, just me, confident, calm, growing. A month later, Sophia from Chicago visited Austin for work. We met in person. We laughed about our dream teacher. She said something beautiful. She said, I think the voice was always inside us. We just never listened. That sentence stayed with me. Here is the truth about learning English in your sleep. Sleep is not magic, but your brain is powerful. If you study daily, repeat often, speak without fear, listen consistently, think positively, then sleep becomes your assistant, not your teacher, your assistant. It strengthens what you build while awake. Now, I help others learn English. I tell them 3 simple rules. Practice daily, speak without fear, sleep with confidence. And most important, change your identity. Don't say, I am bad at English. Say, I am becoming fluent. Your brain listens, even when you sleep. Tonight, if you play English audio softly and you dream about speaking confidently, don't be surprised. It's not magic. It's your mind practicing, your future self training you. And maybe, when you wake up, you will speak a little more naturally, a little more clearly, a little more bravely. And that is progress, because the real teacher was always you. After months of practice, I realized something important. Learning English in your sleep is not about sleeping. It is about what you do before sleeping. So I created a 30-day challenge. Simple, clear, practical. And I decided to test it seriously. Day 1, I sat in my small apartment in Austin, notebook open, phone ready. I wrote 1 sentence at the top of the page. English is part of my life. Not a school subject, not a test. Part of my life. That mindset changed everything. The 30-day challenge had 3 steps every day. Morning, input. Daytime, action. Night, reinforcement. That's it. Not complicated, not stressful. Morning routine, 15 minutes. I listened to slow English audio, clear pronunciation, simple sentences. I repeated each sentence aloud, not quietly, out loud. Even if my accent was not perfect, even if I made mistakes. Repetition builds muscle memory. Your tongue is like a muscle. It needs practice. Daytime routine, real life English. This part was uncomfortable at first. Every day, I had to speak English with at least 1 real person. Short conversation, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It did not matter. Coffee shop, grocery store, coworker, neighbor. The goal was not perfection. The goal was exposure. Fear reduces with exposure. Confidence grows with exposure. Night routine, sleep reinforcement. Before bed, I reviewed 10 words. Only 10. Not 50, not 100, just 10. I used them in sentences. Then I spoke for 5 minutes freely. Any topic. My day, my feelings, my plans. After that, I played soft English audio, slow conversations, positive affirmations, low volume. And I slept. First week. The first week was not magical. I still made mistakes. I still forgot words. But something small improved. Speed. I stopped translating less. I reacted faster. That is progress. Second week. During the second week, something interesting happened. My brain started predicting sentences. When someone spoke, I could guess the next word. Why? Because I was hearing English daily. Morning, daytime, night. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity creates comfort. Comfort creates confidence. One evening, I was ordering food at a restaurant downtown. The waiter spoke quickly. Before, I would panic. This time I smiled and said, "Could you please repeat that?" Clear, calm, no embarrassment. That is real improvement. Not perfect grammar, but confident communication. Third week. Dreams became different. less correction, more conversation. In one dream, I was explaining my sleep method to a group of students, fluently, naturally. When I woke up, I felt motivated. My brain was practicing scenarios, preparing me, even while resting. Fourth week. On day 26, I had a big test, a job interview, higher position, more responsibility, more speaking. I followed my routine strictly that week. Morning repetition, daily conversations, night reinforcement. Before sleeping the night before the interview, I visualized success. I imagined answering confidently. I imagined smiling. I imagined understanding every question. Then I slept with soft English audio, calm, relaxed. Interview day. I wore my best shirt, sat in front of the manager. First question, tell me about yourself. Simple question, but powerful. I answered smoothly. Not perfect, but natural. The conversation lasted 25 minutes. I did not freeze. I did not panic. I even made small jokes. When I left the building, I felt proud, regardless of the result, because I showed up confidently. 3 days later, I received an email. You're hired. I stared at the screen for a long time, not because I was surprised, but because I realized something. English was no longer my weakness. It became my tool. On day 30 of the challenge, I sat quietly in my room. No audio, no notebook, just silence. I asked myself, can you speak English? The answer came easily. Yes, not perfect, but confidently. And confidence is more important than perfection. Here's the full 30-day formula. 15 minutes morning repetition. Speak daily with real people. Review 10 words at night. Speak freely for 5 minutes. Soft English audio during sleep. Positive affirmations. Low volume. And I slept. If you want to improve your English while sleeping, remember this. Sleep does not create skill. Practice creates skill. Sleep strengthens it. Your brain works for you at night, but you must give it material during the day. Feed it English. Daily. Calmly. Confidently. Now, every night before sleeping, I smile because I know something. While my body rests, my brain is still growing. And maybe, tonight, your brain will grow too, if you decide to start.